preventing World War III, Donald Trump policy video.
Never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and...
This is pretty relevant because there was a pretty bad situation that happened recently where basically Ukraine was given some missiles by the United States and they were given permission to actually like shoot them at Russia. And so they actually shot the rockets into Russia rather than it being like more local. And I think Russia actually changed like their nuclear policy over it. So it's pretty crazy.
Destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war. We must be absolutely clear that our objective is to immediately have a total cessation of hostilities. All shooting has to stop. This is the central issue. We need peace without delay. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling.
So this is actually like a topic I don't actually know a lot about this one. Again, I only have like very like kind of surface level knowledge on this, but isn't the reason why all of this is happening is it's because Russia doesn't want NATO anywhere near them. And I think there were talks, there was speculation that like Ukraine was going to join NATO. So they're basically trying to like take it over before it does. I think that's what's going on.
The entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into...
Russia wanted to join NATO and NATO told them to get banned. That was like a while ago, right? Was that like the 80s? Or was it the 90s? It was the 90s.
Endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a...
Because wasn't that like part of the... Like in order to like reunify Germany, they basically, if they did that, they wanted to make sure that NATO wasn't going to encroach on them. I don't think it was an official agreement. I think it was more of like a, we just said so, that it wouldn't happen. And then it kept happening anyway. I think that's the reason for the Ukraine thing.
World, country, and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first. Finally, we have to finish the process we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission. Our foreign policy establishment keeps trying to pull the world into conflict with a nuclear-armed Russia based on the lie that Russia represents our greatest threat. But the greatest threat...
I don't think Russia is our greatest threat. I don't even think it's close.
...to Western civilization today is not Russia. It's probably, more than anything else...
China.
...ourselves and some of the horrible...
Wait, did you say ourselves?
USA-hating people that represent us.
You know what? True.
It's the abolition of our...
I'm actually surprised you didn't say China.
...national borders. It's the failure to police our own cities. It's the destruction of the rule of law from within. It's the collapse...
Well, the big problem right now is that a lot of the power in government is concentrated in non-elected positions. I think that's what he's talking about.
...of the nuclear family and...
That and like they also just want to destroy American culture.
Fertility rates nobody can believe is happening. It's the Marxists who would have us become a godless nation worshiping at the altar of race and gender and environment. And it's the globalist class that has made us totally dependent on China.
It's like really religious, like the whole like climate and gender thing. And that's not to say that, honestly, I should do a whole different video on the climate stuff. Because I think a lot of people believe that if you are against climate change legislation, it means that you're denying, like, science. I don't think that's true for most people. Basically, people recognizing that there's very likely an impact on climate that humans have. It's like incredibly likely, just based on like the data and stuff, right? But the problem is, what do you do about it, right? So a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, we just have to cut everything. We just cut everything, make everything green, right? But the problem is the United States, like the Western civilization, is not the biggest polluter. So even if we went like all the way to zero, it still would not really have such a huge effect. In fact, it would also, like, on top of that, it would hurt a lot of businesses, basically, which by hampering businesses, you hamper technology. Does that make sense? The idea is that we should not do that. And then the West can be at the forefront of creating new technology, right? New technologies that will make things cleaner, and, you know, ways that we can like clean up the environment. Different methods will be created through the expansion of like business and like free market, right? Because no matter what we do, we're not going to be able to stop China and India from polluting. They're just going to fuck it. They don't care. Even if like we tell them like, hey, like we're going to do it, like can you guys do it too? They're just going to say fuck off. They're just going to do whatever they want. So the idea that we should just make ourselves less competitive when we're the ones that's developing a lot of like clean technology is like kind of ridiculous. And again, like the biggest, the other thing is the people that are like, oh, like clean energy, we need clean energy. The same people that say that don't want nuclear power, which is basically your best bet. The solution that a lot of the climate activists have is basically just fuck everything by raising the prices of everything else, right? Yeah, it's nuclear power is our best bet to actually have like energy sustainability in a way that doesn't pollute as hard. And the thing is a lot of the nuclear problems we can avoid them. Like all of the things that happen were basically due to like a lot of human error.
And other foreign countries that basically hate us. These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas while keeping us distracted from the havoc they're creating right here at home. These forces are doing more damage to America than Russia and China could ever have dreamed. Evicting this sick and corrupt establishment is the monumental task for the next president. And I am the only one who can do it. I'm the only one that can get the job done. I know exactly what has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, again, this one's a little bit harder for me. There's a lot of like details that I know like kind of like the overview of like what's going on, but I don't have enough details to really like give like a super in-depth explanation on it.
This is where I put
Trump trans video.
if I had one.